Hi, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this very interesting topic of coming together the QA with AI and automation. My name is Balaji Ukili, part of GAVS Technologies. Welcome you all to this fantastic webinar with two speakers who come with a different set of background. Let me introduce them to you. First one is Juliana Koshi. She part of the customer success organization within GAVS, has about 17 plus years of experience, has done a lot of interesting work, starting from being able to drive projects in a waterfall model, then on to agile, and then also now leading a lot of digital transformation initiatives where QA plays a huge role. He's one of the practitioners of figuring out how AI and automation is very critical for QA. Thank you, Juliana, for participating.
Thank you, Balaji.
Other person who is very interestingly watching at us is Jigar Katwa. Jigar is an expert in the AI usage and the automation usage and is part of Appvance. He is part of the pre-sales solutioning and sales support at Appvance. Close to about 10 years of experience, worked across various industrial domains, and has a passion to demonstrate how QA can be mainstream and how QA can actually drive business outcomes. Jigar, thank you for taking your time to be part of this conversation. You know, I'm more and more sure, and I think that's the first question which will come up as we speak. I'm more and more sure that people are very curious about AI in QA, because all of us know automation in QA. But is AI really aiding QA? That's our first question, which I would request all the participants to respond to. Is manual QA better or the AI aided QA better? I'm sure a lot of views are there, especially the experts of QA, the legacy QA versus the new age QA. And looking forward to your response of selecting either manual QA is better, AI aided QA is better, or both. I sort of think I understand the answer, but we'll wait to hear from people. The poll is now closing. See, the question of AI being part of QA is extremely critical, not because it is going to replace manual effort, but it's because it's going to really aid the QA to be more effective. And as I expected, 70% of them polled out saying both are important, and 30%, and happy to hear that, 30% explained clearly that AI-aided QA seems to be an option going forward. Let's explore that a little more. Does AI really play in QA? And if so, how does it play out in QA? Juliana, I would like to turn to you as a practitioner of QA, as a person who has been in this industry for 17 plus years. And as you're seeing QA evolve, it has evolved over the years. It was a commodity earlier, then it became mainstream, and then subsequently it is so important to bring QA as a value. Where do you see QA heading, and what do you see from a customer perspective? What exactly is QA, and how things are changing in QA?
Sure. Thank you, Balaji. So yeah, so I'll start off with what's the current preview of QA, and then I'll say how the entire automation in QA has evolved as well. So when it comes to the digital transformation, everyone, most enterprises have a vision around customer experience, business outcomes, service reliability, and service outcomes that evolves revolutionizing infrastructure and application. But most of the time, what I felt, based on my own experience, I feel the quality assurance is often really look like an addendum, right? And that is not part of the entire planning stage. Every digital program invariably runs into agile development framework or DevOps. They focus on shorter release cycles with lot of stress to deliver quality code with shorter time frames. To help this organization plan for additional controls on DevOps side, and most of the time they overlook the QA strategy. There's a real need for change in the way quality assurance is being operated in the organization. I think broadly there are two major driving forces. One is agility in the way testing is done and faster time to market. And for QA team to keep pace with the entire agile mode of development, traditional test automation is not enough. Making AI in test automation is unavoidable, which my colleague Jigar will be explaining in detail. So testing organizations are being compelled to innovate with new and emerging technology solution around implementation, automation. So how it has entirely evolved to the second question of yours, Balaji. When it actually automation really started, the focus was largely based on UI based and focus on regression. Automation evolved to include keyword driven, data driven, hybrid driven, to a later business process driven frameworks as well, which really brought optimal saving to the client. But the saving were very limitedly, largely limited to the regression and did not make much difference to the business. The next wave evolved, where there's a lot of function side of business started automating in terms of people moving from UI to API, middleware into automation, test data automation, and more. The focus has moved from a UI automation to a multi-tier, multi-stack automation that is really making impact on the efficiency and time to market. It's not just the test automation, right? Even the developers, when they do the unit testing, the business as well do the UAT as well. Everything is getting automated. And testing has really evolved from a black box to a white box. And there's more and more automation tools coming to the market. And the organization needs to think on the best strategy to choose the tools for their automation solution. Because if we don't have one solution for the entire problems which we have across the different organizations. The focus, so coming into AI into QA, the focus of AI in QA is to eliminate test coverage overlap, optimizing the effort with more predictable testing, and lastly, moving from a defect detection to a defect prevention. Few organizations are using a lot of RPA tools, but which has gone beyond the traditional testing activities. Just like we have the self-driving cars, right? Everybody are actually thinking, can I actually move away the entire testing tester and have just a robot? That is definitely not possible. So I think it's a self-learning capability which is making better solution for identifying critical path for testing and increasing the test accuracy, Balaji. So have I answered your question? Have I missed out anything else, Balaji?
No, that's fine. I think what is happening, Juliana, as you rightly said, right? Organizations are more and more starting to believe that the quality of the output and end user experience is derived directly from the quality of output. If you trace it back to how that is to be captured or how that is to be worked out, it's that steps which we take as engineers to provide quality assurance. So I think it is a human plus an aided tool or a technology can actually enhance it. Jigar, if that is the premise, how do you see the technology trends evolving in QA? Before we jump into AI, what have you seen as various technology trends which are evolving and emerging in QA? And then we'll roll it into how it goes into an AI-based QA as well.
Sure. And again, it's a very interesting topic if you see here, right? Everybody is talking about with this COVID to get back to normalcy. Is the normalcy is going back and living our life accordingly the way we were living like 2 years ago, or starting March 2019, especially in America, 2020, especially in America, where we got started impacted, or across the globe we started getting impacted with the COVID. Now people started working remotely. The burden getting more and more on you guys, for us as a tester to test more efficiently, right? So all of the stuff, right? What Juliana just mentioned, it's all about working more efficiently. Let's try to make sure that is, move our focus from the defect detection to defect prevention. But in all of those aspects, right? People always focus on three big areas, right? Time to market, like quality core, and reduce cost. But if you are still managing all three of these three things, what's the capacity of your resource to overcome those things? I normally use an analogy here. The wars, what we used to fight before, we used to go with the swords, and then we revolutionized how we were fighting the war. Today we fight the war digitally, right? And with the few of the buttons here, we can shoot a missile and stuff like that. Why did we come with that revolution? To reduce the damage on our side, right? So that way we are not putting up we are not causing damage to our own resources, right? Or to our forefront, right? And this is exactly the way the testers are doing it, right? We completely revolutionized. So the traditional way of testing was only focused on the specific use cases only. If you look at any framework, TDD framework focused on the business processes, BDD framework pretty much focused on the business processes. The way we were doing our standard legacy manual testing, hey, what is my business process? But is that enough? Because if you look at the fun fact here, the 90% of the bug, right, found in the production were not part of your specific use cases. And still there are bugs detected in the production. So now are you going to increase your capacity to test the remaining of the bugs, right? 90% of the bug. Then you're going to have to scale up 90%, right? Because 10 people, what you're using for your testing, or 15 or 20 is not good enough to test the application what you're testing. So how you can overcome those things? So you have to bring some added, right? Augment what you're really doing as of today. And the AI is the solution to help you out to test more efficiently, test better code. Do not overburden your resources to test, but just test efficiently. And the AI is the key to that.
And I think the other big challenge, right? As a practitioner of QA, I've always found that what is the right way to say that I've tested everything? I am as good a tester as I am, as much as the requirements are captured. So if the requirements are captured well, maybe I'll test well. But if the requirements are incomplete, I may not be able to do a fair job, number one. Number two, even if the requirements are complete, as engineers, and when I wear my engineer mindset, I write a lot of code which may not be even used in the actual functionality eventually in the product. It just lies there as dead code or lies there as functional logic, which may actually either come in disrupt somewhere or doesn't matter at all. But it's important when I submit the quality of output that I'm able to communicate clearly that this is all what I tested. But more importantly, to say that these are all not needed, but were tested. So the quality assurance beyond testing means that I'm able to support my engineer in telling that whatever he has written works the way he originally set out to write. And secondly, it also talks about how best it has been set out to write. And third, most complicated, which we seldom ignore, is our ability or inability to integrate functional with non-functional and security. Now, I know AI can play a huge role in bringing all this together. I just wanted to get a little more clarity around how you have perceived and how your organization has thought the AI part should get integrated into QA or across all functional, non-functional, and security aspects. Some light around that would help.
Sure. So first of all, our product, it's a huge platform, right? So we shifted our focus from test coverage to an application coverage. So now if you change that paradigm shift, right? Look, you're looking at the application coverage, you're looking at all the different aspects, what you just mentioned here, Balaji. So our blueprinting is our way of defining our AI engine to play along with the application. It has found so many bugs for our customers. The one example I'll give is that, hey, there were some redirects happening, which was not needed in the code, which was sitting there as a dead code, as you said earlier, right? And it's causing unnecessary performance delay. Do you need that junk on your code, right? And if you want to test it today, as you're testing it today, the way our normal traditional way of testing, will you be able to look into the code and go line by line item? Hey, what does this do, right? Pretty much when you ask the developer, hey, my code works perfectly fine, right? So I do not need to test remaining of the stuff out there. But at the same time, what's really important is that you create the script once and use it multiple for different types of testing. You're increasing your reusability, looking at the different aspect of your testing, right? Just for your performance testing, load testing, security testing, bulk testing, right? API testing. You want to look again a shift left to shift right. All that kind of tests, all those different types of testing are pretty much very critical when it comes down to delivering a better code to the market, and also maintain or reduce the cost of testing. And how can you do that with one single platform? And this is the AIQ is a solution for that, because what we focus on two big areas: the way we create the scripts right? The one is through the test designer. What this is to cover your specific use cases, which is to help your all our testers to convert their specific use cases in automation scripts. And then we have AI driven capacity, where the bots are creating the scripts for you, which are hands off, minds off. Juliana used talk about self-driven car, right? So this is the 5 level of autonomy where it's hands off, minds off. The scripts are smart enough. They already data driven. They already has validations into it. You didn't write a single line of code. It was all done by the bots for you. So now you look at the paradigm shift. When you were doing a testing as a traditional tester, you were just capturing all those steps, converting them either into the manual test cases or an automation test case or a test script. Now you're testing everything a bots can do for you. So you are scaling at X capacity now, rather than just wondering what I'm going to test here.
Interesting that you say that, Jigar. And towards that, actually, the audience can actually download a white paper called Autonomous Software Testing with AI. It will give some insights about what the panelists are talking. And also, my request is for the participants to pose any questions to the panel members as we are having this interesting conversation. Now, coming back to Juliana as a practitioner, do you really see AI in QA? Do you really see AI supporting, evolving, and maybe even driving QA? I mean, what is your view from a practitioner standpoint?
No, of course, Balaji, just like Jiga was mentioning, right? See, we've in a real-time scenario, we've seen many situations where the testers come and tell us that I've tested completely, though we have a very efficient test coverage mechanism. There are different techniques for different projects, right, Balaji? So when we actually do the testing, but we still end up in having some issues. It's not that the testers have not done their job efficiently, but this is where the AI is coming into play. So all possible permutation and combinations possible, it has all been captured by the bot. And for example, even remote testing, right? Say, for example, you have to do a testing in a remote ATM. You just can have a bot there and do the complete testing. So it has really evolved, and I think it is time for, it is no more a myth now. It is actually a reality. So people really need to start embracing and start putting this in use with newer forms of techniques coming into play. Just like we always talk, right, that customer satisfaction doesn't have boundaries. Just like that, the customer requirements also does not have boundaries. As and when the customer's requirement changes, I think the functionality changes. There's more possibility of different functionalities in place, and making use of AI in testing. Actually, that will help us do entire test coverage, Balaji. And we've implemented it as well in many other customers of ours, and we've seen results.
And do you really think that customers are seeing AI as a mechanism to enhance quality, or are they seeing customers are seeing AI as a mechanism to reduce costs, remove humans, and bring in machines to do the QA? What is your perspective in your earlier conversations?
See, it depends on which part of the digital transformation journey the particular customer is in. We've seen that many of the customers, they really want to do the digital transformation, but they're not yet there. So it takes time for us to actually educate the customer and tell them that this is what we need to be doing. So I think it has started evolving, and people have started embracing. So it's not that testers are moving away from the entire SDLC lifecycle. I think the time has come where people have started embracing, implementing AI in testing within the entire process and seeing results as well. So just as a practical example for everyone in the forum, we've had a implementation of a large e-commerce platform in the US, and we've seen the entire automation or the entire release happening, release cycle reducing from a 20 days to 1 day. We've seen Facebook and everyone doing multiple releases in a single day. All that is possible only with AI in testing for now.
Okay, and AI is not considered as a replacement for humans, but it is more considered not just a efficiency factor, but quality, expansion, everything. Is it?
Yes, yes, definitely it cannot replace humans for sure, because see, computers cannot replace human mind, because what human can do, computers cannot do. for example, if you have to do exploratory testing, the computers definitely cannot do. Like edge cases, negative scenarios, all of that can be done only by a human. So I would think that the tester role itself is going to be evolving. It may not be a normal functional tester or an automation tester, but it would be something called maybe QA AI strategist or a QA AI manager or a QA AI SME who would be actually, I think there's loads of opportunity here. It's just for people to actually embrace it, Balaji.
Okay, understand. And Jigar, as a person who is an advent leader in trying to figure out how technology can help drive this, how and where do you see AI now? Let's get to some specifics. How do you see AI practically helping? Will it not take away the role of the tester? What is your considered opinion of how the platform or tool which you have been building and promoting with AI going to help in functional performance security testing? Let's get to some specifics.
Sure, definitely. Let me try to share my screen here. So as I was talking earlier, Balaji, right? So let me begin with, before we deep dive into the technology aspect of it, let me introduce Appvance here, right? So Appvance IQ, we are the pioneers in AI-driven test generation, and I know we have about 8 patents, and we use 19 different machine learning methods in our platform to make this platform so powerful. And there are 2 big areas where we focus on, as I said earlier. For the one is how we create those scripts. So when it comes down to creation of the script biology, we focus on 2 ways. The first way is the ML assisted codeless test creation, where you're converting your specific use cases into automation scripts. And this is done under a component called Test Designer. And to augment that, to augment what your testers are doing, we leverage AI-driven test generation, where the machines are generating thousands and thousands of test scripts for you to increase your coverage, which are already data-driven and which already has the validations into it. So whether you're creating using the scripts using Test Designer for your specific use cases, or the AI has generated those scripts for you, you can use the same script for all these different types of testing, starting from functional testing to compatibility testing, performance testing, load testing, app penetration testing, which is a security testing, SOAK testing. You can also look at the synthetic APM as well. You can look at the database performances as well, right? So you create the script once and use the same script for all these different types of testing. So you do not have to manage different artifacts, but just reuse what you just created, right? As I said earlier also, right? So we do not focus on the test coverage anymore for us. And then again, as you rightly said earlier, right? What Juliana said, the testers have done their job, right? Testers doing actually more than what they are supposed to do. The reason is they're committed to make sure that you have that quality code in the production. But in AI is not taking away what they're doing. AI is augmenting or is helping the testers to test efficiently. And this is what is the core focus of Appvance as well. So what we are trying to do here is, with the specific use cases, right, which is, as the humans are very much required to make sure that you have a quality code, and you want to make sure that your end-to-end business processes or your core business processes are functioning correctly, you focus on the specific use cases, right? You want them to generate those scripts. However, the remaining of the application, which cannot be tested by the current capacity of those resources, you can leverage the autonomous testing to generate those scripts automatically. So the combination of the specific use cases and the autonomous tests, which are generated by the AIQ, can give you 100%, near about 100% application coverage. So you're not looking at only one portion of your application now, but you're looking at the complete suite of application or all the complete code base what you have. And Juliana spoke about the CI and CD pipeline. And in order to make sure that you're fully compatible with the CI and CD pipeline and the latest tech stack what you have today, you need to make sure that your cloud, your platform, what you're gonna use is flexible enough. It can it be on cloud, because everybody is talking about the cloud computing. Hey, we want to move to cloud, and then moving into the cloud comes with a different set of challenges, right? So you want to make sure that your product or the platform what you're choosing is it flexible enough to be on cloud. It can be on prem, it could be on hybrid. Yes, we are fully the AIQ platform could be on cloud, it could be on prem, it could be hybrid. It's scalable enough to we have customers running our platform for 3 million concurrent users. Like, can it be scale up to X amount? Yes, you can do that. Can I run the test on a real mobile devices? Yes, you can do that. Can I integrate this platform with platform providers such as Browser Stack or Sauce Labs and stuff like that? Yes, you can fully integrate with that as well. Like, am I CI and CD compatible? Yes, we are fully CI and CD compatible, and we also integrate with the popular integration as well. The next slide, Balaji, and the audience, right? This is very important, because one thing what we did was we steered away from the WebDriver. So we do not use WebDriver at all. We know the challenges with the WebDriver. It sits on the browser and it makes the scripting of the scripting challenges to another level. And being a tester in the past, right, I know it was the creation of the script, the stability of the scripts, unless and until you have a more stable framework, is always a challenge working with the WebDriver component. What AIQ uses, we use something called as a JavaScript injector, and that makes us in the browser rather than sitting on the browser. And that makes us fully compatible with all these modern stack, right? Whether you're using AngularJS, React, Kendo UI, HTML5, or iframe, we are fully compatible with that. And that also makes us fully compatible and browser and platform agnostic. So it doesn't matter whether you're using IE Edge, or Chrome or Firefox, or you're using Windows, Mac, or a Linux machine. This is very critical and very important, because you want to make sure that you're having a best UX experience, because you do not know where your testers, what devices your testers gonna use, or your real users gonna use to access your platform. So you want to look at those compatibility as well. And as we sit in the browser, that also let us use or capture this different response time, right? And capture the AJAX time. We can also look at the same page action timings. We can flag browser timing differences and look at the compatibility as well. So that's a new paradigm shift, right? Making sure that the testers are more working efficiently. They are aided with the machine learning methods to generate those scripts, right? So, and I'm going to walk through one more slide, and then I'll hand it back to you, Balaji. And this is the new way of scripting, right? So what the testers have to do now is invoke the browser from the test designer IDE and focus on the use case rather than going back and forth between the browser and the browser dev mode. They are performing the steps. What test designer IDE is doing is capturing each and every step what the tester is doing. That's one. And the machine learning methods are leveraged in order to identify all those objects or the actions on the screen. As being a tester, I do not have to worry about how I am going to recognize those objects. The test designer ID also captures all the possible ways of recognizing those objects. Why? Because this is very critical when you want to make sure that you're making your script more stable, and the machine learning methods use the decision trees to pick up the most stable SSS for you. So now, being a tester, I don't have to worry about it. So what we just did here, Juliana, and the audience, I'm referring to Juliana here because she just tested an e-commerce application. So here we created a 16-step script on a simple e-commerce application. We were able to generate that script in just 64 seconds. This is a full ID, right? So now if I want to export the script, not export, yeah, but enhance the script by data driving it, without writing a single line of code, I can data drive the scripts. Without writing a single line of code, I can enhance the script by adding some if loop, or if my business process is complicated, yes, I can enhance the script by if loop and for loop and so forth. I can also add any assertions if I want to add them. I can export the same script into fully editable JavaScript if I'm a SDET and I'm technical savvy. I like to play with the code. Yes, we do not steal away that capacity from you. So we want to play. If you want to play with the code, we do that, give you that as well. I can export the same script into API script, and I can export the same script into an horse script. So one simple recording, which we were able to get it done in just 64 seconds. Think about this. I get access to 4 different types of scripts. I can do 4 different types of testing, right? And enhance my testing capacity. So that's just the ticker to what this platform can do for you.
Oh, very nice, very nice. No, this is very good, Jigar. I'll tell you why. See, most of the applications actually have an ability to test itself normally, right? I mean, when you do unit testing, when you finish your code reviews, you actually have tested quite a bit. But what exactly it is to be made and what exactly it is to be covered is something which we will always struggle. We don't know what we don't know, right? And if there is a mechanism to find out what we don't know and figure out how to test it through it, how to wade through it, I think that's the best way. And I think that's where the AI part actually plays a role. Before moving forward, I just want to put another poll question. Do we see AI replacing humans in QI? Yes or no? And I think, again, I think we will know the answer to that. I think there is a good element of understanding now as we are hearing about AI. Does AI replace humans in QA? And I would request the audience to select their poll answers, responses. In the meantime, I would also request the audience to type in any questions which may be available or may be relevant, which I can post to the panelists. We'll close the poll vote now for the second question. And I'm 100% sure that it is the right answer. Majority of you feel that AI augments humans. It's not actually replacing humans. And that is true. We do a lot of functional requirements gathering, functional requirements testing, creating test scripts. But then if you have to look at repeated test cycles, if you have to look at dead code, if you have to look at code coverage and integrated with performance and security, it needs a massive effort. And that sometimes may not be always possible by human in the given time. That's another big thing, right? Most of the times, time slices are cut off in QA than anywhere else because people are hurried to release the product. So with that said, Jigar, where do you actually see, where we have to apply repeated cycle testing, where we can capture the blueprint of the actual application itself from a testing standpoint? How do you see that playing out in your product?
Sure, great question. And again, it was nice to see that poll, right? Are you guys able to see my screen again?
Yeah.
Yes, very much. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect, right? So answer to your question, right? So AI, I agree with the concept that AI augments what testers are doing. AI is not taking away, the humans, right? Because you cannot take away human out of the testing equation or humans out of the whole world out there, right? Because it's the key, right? So at the end of the day, AI or any bots out there, they know the components, but what they do not know is the business rules. And we as a human, we define those business rules. And then unlike any other AI platform, we teach the AI engine your business rules, right? So let's get back to the topic here about the AI-driven or the autonomous testing. So what does the autonomous testing means, right? It means that I should be able to find bugs, so of course begin with the, able to generate tests and find bugs without as a human doing any coding, any scripting, any manual testing or recording. It should help me out to increase my coverage with little to no labor, right? Because as remember, right, we want testers to test more efficiently. So we do not want them to get overburdened by writing new set of codes or new scripting or manual testing or new recording, right? Because ultimately that's going to kill them out. So now, in order to make sure they are testing more efficiently, you need to aid them or augment them, right? And this is exactly where the AIQ becomes very handy. So if you look at this, this is the 5 level of autonomy, which is defined by the industry. This is not something which we have put together, biology. But if you look at the today's industry, when we go and talk to our customers, we either see them in level 1 or level 2, right? Or maybe some at level 3, right? The way they leveraging their frameworks, some technology stack, what they have adopted to the framework they have, manipulated or put a lot of effort in doing so. But that's the max what we have seen. But if you look at the level 5, the machine learning, fully automated, auto generated, like smart script with the validation and the data driven, this is like a hands off, minds off, right? Because now, without getting our testers overburdened with the capacity of testing, the AIQ is helping them to augment what they're already doing. So now we have, and again, with the level 5 of autonomy, we have helping our customers successfully for past 3 years to achieve that hands of minds of testing. And how do we do that? We leverage 19 different machine learning methods, as I said earlier, and these are all patented machine learning methods what we leverage in our platform. So that's the reason why we are so confident that this is going to help our testers or your testers to test more efficiently rather than stealing away what they are really doing. It's just to augment what they are trying to do. I'll show you an example here. I want to make sure that you're paying attention to the script, because as soon as I click on that generate script, it's going to scan my application and it's done. It found 183 different flows, but 21 of those flows are very unique, which needs to be tested. Let me open that one script for you. You'll be surprised to see that the script was written in a simple English, the way we captured the test design or IDE. That's one. You will surprised to see that the scripts are already has data driven, already has validations to it, and I was just able to get it done in 6.64 milliseconds. These are all generated by a machine. Not a single line of code was written by the human. Now, of course, with there is a concept that people start thinking, hey, if the AI is doing this, where I am involved into it, like I do not, there is nothing for me to do. That's not true, because what we do is we use a concept called blueprinting template. What blueprinting template is, the AI engine comes with all these component libraries. When I say component libraries, means that if the AI sees a button on the screen, or a checkbox, or an input field, or a radio button, it knows what to do with that. But it doesn't know is how to play with your application. What are your business rules? And this is all begins in a concept called blueprinting template, where we are teaching the AI engine how to how to play with your application. And by the way, that has been taken care as part of the implementation process, where we work along with your tester to teach the AI engine how to teach those business rules. And in these business rules, in other words, in our language, we call it AI hinting, or other words, human-assisted machine learning, where we're teaching some human factors to the AI engine, what to do, what not to do, where to start, where to end, what to execute every time or sometime or never. But it doesn't stop there. So once that blueprinting is done, what the testers really need to do is run that blueprint at the each build. So now the question arises, why do I need to run that after each build? Because you want to make sure that your blueprinting template is current enough. So what's happening in that, once you run that blueprint at each build, it's self-learning and self-healing by itself with the new code changes which has been committed. I'm definitely sure there will be questions out there. Hey, what about the new flows or the new fields which we just added to this? And it's a great question, by the way. So this is where your testers again have to involve into it, make sure that the blueprint is template is fine. Some fine tuning needs to be done. And by the time when we are working along with you to set up the initial process, initial blueprint, you know that how to fine tune it and add those new flows or new fields which has been added. Now the question arises, how did it created that 27 script in just 1.4 seconds. And this is a slide which is going to help you out understand what it just really did now. So let's begin with an example here of the blueprinting again, that you just hire a tester, or a functional tester or an automated tester. What we start doing is we start teaching the business rules. Hey, this is what we want to test. This is how we want to test that application in the test. Now you replicate that tester by 100 times. So that's your new capacity to test your application. Now you replace those 100 testers with this tiny box you see on the screen. So now you provided them with the baseline, which is nothing but your blueprint. You provided the test data, which is required for your testing. This is what you're going to do with your testers as well. But what these bots are capable of doing is they can map every UI, every page, every state, every server request. Not only that, they're also communicating with each other, making sure they're not following the same path. So always trying to make sure they are getting a more unique path as possible. They're also writing down each and every step what they are while they are performing. They're also data driving it. They're also validation it. So by the time when they are done scanning your application or mapping every UI or page or state or server request, they'll be done creating hundreds and thousands of use cases for you. So now if you correlate that with your testing practice today, it's to augment what your testers are doing. It's to go above and beyond where the tester's capacity is done. So with the specific use cases, along with the AI-driven test generation, that's the new paradigm shift which the people should focus on from the testing perspective. Now, can I create a regression suite out of this as well, right? And how can I correlate more my blueprint to mimic what my real users are doing? Answer to the question is yes. So then, by the way, this is an optional step. You do not have to do so if you do not want to. But if your application is already in production and you want to mimic what your real users are doing in your application, you can use one of a method called recursive base match algorithm. And then the production logs, if you have any, of course, you will need them. But if you have production log from Splunk or Sumo Logic or W3C, you just need to take a subset of that log, use this method, and that automatically updates the blueprint to mimic what your real users are doing. So what's the benefit of this? No more guesswork from the UAT standpoint. You are trying, the blueprinting is now updated to make what your real users are doing. So now it builds up a true UAT regression suite to help you out test the real flows, how your real users are playing with your application. So ultimately, the goal is to provide you with 100% coverage from every action, every pages. Optionally, you can pull together a production user flow coverage with 90% less effort on a QA or a dev team. And at the end of the day, it's a zero maintenance, right? Remember, I spoke about it's not burdening our resources to do the efficient testing. So it is only 90%, 10% or 5% effort on them, and with zero maintenance. If I can generate 27 script in 1.4 seconds, why waste my time generating or fixing them? Just regenerate them and I'm done here. Did I answer your question, Balaji?
No, it does. And I'm presuming that this blueprint can also be used for performance testing, for security testing, for any interface integration testing, right? Because ultimately the blueprint of the application from a code flow perspective rather than just a testing perspective, right?
That is very correct, right? So now, whether you have generated scripts using the test designer, which is the specific use cases, or you have generated the scripts using AI, you can use the same script, or you can export the same script for the different type of testing. The API test, yes, you can use the same script. For performance test, yes, you can use the same script. Can I do the security testing? Yes, we do support 10 different OWASP penetration routes, and then we can help you do those tests as well, right? So, and can I use the same thing for scalable 3 million or 5 million or 10 million concurrent users test? Yes, you can do that as well.
Right. And because of this, there's a question from the audience, Jigar, and Juliana, for you, both of you can respond. With this blueprinting, with this ability to create a skeleton of the functionality, are the old skills of writing automation scripts becoming obsolete? Don't you need any more people writing in Selenium or any other tools? And is AI generating these scripts? That's a better way of doing it. What's your view, Jigar?
So my opinion that at the end of the day, it's not absolute, right? But at the end of you want to test it or you want to generate script by spending less time into it. I'll give you an example here. How about maintenance aspect of it, right? So if you generate script using Selenium and stuff like that, how much time and effort you are spending behind maintenance of that? Ultimately, you're writing a code to test a code. So if I want to write a code for test a code, I'm not a tester anymore. I'm getting a developer. How I'm going to test more efficiently. But you still need that knowledge to make sure your script is more stable enough. So now combine that knowledge to generate those scripts with the codeless, right? The same concept. So concept doesn't go away of development, but you need to articulate that concept from the tester view perspective and let the tool aid you what you're doing. So it's all about making sure you're testing efficiently and aiding yourself with more capacity and more tools to test efficiently.
Juliana, your view?
My view is same as well, Balaji. So it definitely doesn't become obsolete. People really need to actually troubleshoot on what are the script which has been already written. And as one point which when Jigar was mentioning, the biggest pain area for any automation is maintenance of the script, which Appvance handles beautifully. And another two major areas is with the entire AI in place, there's a lot of both from a predictive and prescriptive perspective for all the attendees. There's lot of risk prediction and defect prediction which we can do, and for all of that we really need to know the technology which we are actually using to write the script as well. So it definitely doesn't become obsolete. We just have to enhance our knowledge there.
What other tools do you see in the market, Jigar? There's a question from the audience saying that what are the various competition of Appvance? What are the other AI tools? Any comment on that?
It's always a great question to answer, by the way, Balaji, because the answer is no, right? Because if you see all the AI engines out there in the market, they are kind of very dependent on the user flows, what you define for them, right? And it's going to help you out generate the scripts. The self-driven, AI-driven testing capacity where the bots can automatically generate those scripts for you, there is not a single product out there. And that's the reason why we call it out there ourselves as a pioneer in AI-driven test generation, right? And then to back that statement out there, we are the ones who are having like 8 patents and the 19 different machine learning methods embedded into that patents. And that makes us pretty much unique what we do for how we generate our scripts for our customers.
Very good. One last question, and I'm sure we all know the answer. Isn't RPA and AI and automation same? And my answer is it's the same, but not the same as well. RPA is about robotic process. Automation can be beyond robotic process. So there is a difference. Automation and RPA are the same, but AI, RPA, a lot more to different things there. So, and Juliana, what's your perspective where this can be used? Any areas where you feel can be leveraged well and used? All this AI, Appvance tool and all?
I think it is applicable everywhere for all of the organizations, Balaji. But before that, I will answer another question. Yes, Appvance does answer the AI in testing solution, but I think the nearest competitor for Appvance is Tosca. But the moment Tosca ends, Appvance stands, right? So we've had enough discussions on that front. I personally feel as well that we've already implemented it in many other customers as well, which I've already alluded when we started off the discussion, that we implemented this in one of the e-commerce platform and we reduced the release cycle from maybe 20 days to 1 day. And we've implemented in a loan origination bank as well, wherein the release cycle, which happens every week, right? So that as well we have reduced. So applicability is there everywhere. We just have to create the use case and implement it, Balaji. It depends.
Right. Is it all smooth sail, or do you think there are a lot of challenges in leveraging AI in QA?
No, there is a challenge. Sorry.
Go ahead, Juliana.
Balaji, there is challenge. One is the mindset, because it is change management for people to actually accept. So once that has been done, I think it's a smooth sail. Balaji. Jigar, for you.
No, I definitely agree with you, Juliana. Right? It's a mindset. It's you need to make sure that you're ready to adapt to a change, right? So I always use the analogy here again, and I use a lot of analogy. So sorry about that. But if you just get a Tesla, and if you're not ready to adapt for driving autonomously, right? Tesla is not for you, right? But at the end of the day, is Tesla is a self-driven car? Can it help me out to go from one location to another location without me stressing out? Yes, it is there, right? So if I have a change my mindset that I want to, commute or better way, then I would use Tesla. So that way it's very smooth and non-stressful rides for me. So now, am I able to go from one location to another location? Yes, I can. Am I going there more efficiently? Yes, I can. Am I still getting control on what I'm testing? Yes, you are, because you still have all the access to all the controls and all. And that's the same mindset you need to apply for when it comes down to AI driven test generation out there, because it's not taking away my role as a driver of my testing. I can still go from one location to another location with full luxury and full comfort, right? Without me stressing out how I'm going to drive for 24 straight hours, because this is where it's augmenting what my capacities are, right? Where my energy stops, the Tesla's energy starts, right? And then the self-driven capacity starts, and this is exactly what the AI is doing for me. Like where I stop, it starts from there.
Right. And final thoughts from all of you, because it's been a very interesting conversation. The handout is still there. Autonomous software testing with AI. People can download it. But just final quick thoughts, Juliana, on what do you see as future of QA and how you see AI playing a big role in QA from a
No, I think
practitioner standpoint.
yeah, it's a great opportunity there, everyone, that the QA can actually get transformed to an AI QA, and this tremendous opportunity there. We've just started, though we talk about AI for the past couple of years, but then there's tremendous amount of opportunity available to get AI implemented. And again, to all the attendees who are hearing us out, it definitely is not going to take the tester's role away. It is only going to transform from a functional tester to an AI tester, where you'll be actually spending quality time in doing where exactly I need to be focusing on. How can I improve the quality of code? How can I improve the functionality? How can I have a better impact on the end user? So, requesting all of you to actually think through this, because it's definitely not going to have an impact on your jobs.
And any specific areas you see, Juliana, where you are applying it? I know that you've been talking to using it in one large e-commerce platform solutioning. Any specific areas where you're looking at exploring and applying this, because that will then give a cue that it can actually be widely used.
Right. So we have many, as I mentioned, Balaji. It doesn't stop us from actually taking it to all the other customers. So I've already implemented it in two of our customers, where one is on the e-commerce platform and the other is on the loan management facility. We are actually taking it into a railway domain as well now, trying to find the use case where exactly we can showcase on how exactly it's going to benefit in terms of time, in terms of maintenance and all that, and then start rolling out to the other customers as well. It's going to be an interesting journey, and I'm really looking forward for it.
Very nice. Jigar, closing comments?
So I just want to let everybody know that this is there, the AI is there, right, from the conceptual standpoint to help me out to carry out my testing more efficiently. It's never going to take away what we do, right? Because at the end of the day, technology is there. It's going to help you out to take some decisions for you. But at the end of the day, you are the ones who are responsible to help AI or any components to take that decisions or implement that decisions in the testing format, right? So at the end of the day, we use phones. We used to have those paddle phones before. Now we use cell phones. It's to make us work more efficiently. Again, the AI is there to help us work more efficiently rather than getting a stress on us. Hey, if I adapt to this, I'm going to be in more trouble because it's going to take away my job. No, it's not the thing. It's all about us working efficiently. And AI capacity in the future is going to grow more and more. But that's not to take away our stuff, but it's help us because the technology is changing every single day.
Right.
Are we gonna keep on self-learning those books, right? Learning those new tech stack every day. That's then, pretty much you'll be burdened out with that. But you want to make sure that you're adopting to something which is going to help you out to test the everyday emerging tech stack out there. And this is where the AIQ plays a very critical role to give those aids to us so that way we can test more efficiently. At the end of the day, test more efficiently and achieve those three goals in the testing industry, that is reduce cost to market by and again, cost doesn't mean that you're reducing the number of resources, but cost is related to there is no bugs in the production, so that way you're better code in the market. So at the no bugs in the production definitely means less cost, and get the better core and test efficiently, right? Because you want to make sure that you're getting your product time to market as the time as you committed, you are business people, that your code will be released.
Okay, very good. This has been a very interesting conversation. I genuinely appreciate, Juliana, you taking the time to talk to us and explain from a practitioner standpoint, and Jigar, sincere thanks for explaining how an Appvance product and how AI actually can aid ability to expand our ability to deliver, expand our ability to visualize what QA to do and how we can get a better product, a solid product out to the market. And more importantly, avoid reuse, avoid rework, more and more of reuse and more of coverage. Thank you so much, Jigar and Juliana, for taking the time to talk to us today. An interesting topic, never ending, really catching everybody's attention. And to all people who have joined this call, sincere thanks for taking the time to be part of the call, and look forward to more and more of such webinars. But believe me, QA is taking a different shape. Adoption of AI is going to make QA even better for yourself and for your customer. Thank you once again. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to anybody who's been in the call. Thank you very much. See you again. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.